So I'm in Jakarta at the National Monument, otherwise known as Monas. And what's interesting is that it looks exactly like the Washington Monument. Now, the similarities don't end there. Take a look. What's really interesting is that at one point in time, post-independence, the name given by the Europeans to this country was the United States of Indonesia. Now, look at the emblem. If you look at the emblem, it's actually a Garuda, but it's shaped and positioned exactly like the eagle on the American seal. So we are looking at post-World War II, these symbols indicating a movement of ownership, politically and otherwise, to the West. Even though, and well, I suppose that makes sense on some level, right? Because the Dutch were occupying this country, and they didn't leave until 1949. World War II didn't end, right, in 1945, despite what your teachers tell you. The Europeans wanted to hold on to this land as much as possible. And so they actually kidnapped the future president of this country, and they took him to another place, Yogyakarta. And if you go to Yogyakarta, there's a beautiful museum there that actually tells you a lot about what happened. But the important thing to realize is whenever you're visiting a country, symbols do mean something. In many cases, they indicate the ownership of the property and also, by extension, the former political system. That's why a lot of times when you see something that's just a normal symbol, be it a dragon, be it some sort of, symbol that reminds you of something else, try to think about what it might mean. And try to think about, historically, how these countries that are so blessed with natural resources, why they remain developing at the same time that the West has effectively imposed similar symbols onto these countries. Now, also think about the fact that the Dutch, despite leaving in 1949, didn't really leave Jakarta until the financial crisis that led to a massacre of Chinese citizens who were blamed for the collapse in the rupiah. And so ultimately, because the Dutch became effectively distant landlords, when the rupiah collapsed, thereby bankrupting quite a few people in this country, the most visible citizens only the most visible citizens were blamed, the ones who stayed behind, not the Dutch. So again, when you're traveling, you're going to hear a lot about history. You're going to hear a lot about what happened, but ultimately, it almost never gives you the full story because you have to understand law, economics, finance, and sometimes just architecture.